Welcome to Gozroth Tutorials. I'm Gozroth, and today we're going to look at how we can find entities at runtime. So in order to do this, we're going to need to create a couple objects so we can find them, and we're going to need a TypeScript script. So we're going to go over to build, and we're going to create a couple objects. We're just going to create some shapes. We're going to grab some spheres. Let's bring them into the world, and I'm just going to rename them. I'm going to name two of these the same, and then I'm going to name one sphere A, and then I'm going to name another one sphere B, but this time I'm going to give it a tag, and we're going to tag it sphere. So we're going to go down to gameplay tags, we're going to hit this plus sign, and we're just going to name it sphere. Make sure it adds. So we should have two spheres named sphere, a sphere named sphere A, and a sphere named sphere B with the tag of sphere. And we're going to create a TypeScript script. And don't mind social, that is for a different tutorial I'm working on. And we're just going to call this one Finding Entities. Okay. And we're just going to attach this to our spawn point. And then we're going to attach the script to our spawn point. And we're going to open up our script. So we can just click on the three dots here, go to edit script. We're going to get rid of this because I don't like importing everything. I just like importing what I need. So we need to get rid of our HZs, and we're just going to copy component and bring it up here. So now we're importing component. So there are three ways that we can find an entity. We can use find entities, find entity, and get entities with tag. So to demonstrate find entity, it's going to be this .world.find entity, and it's going to require the name of the object. So we're going to go with sphere A. Now this is going to return an entity, so we want to cache that. So we're going to create a variable. We're going to call it sphere A. It's going to be of type entity, and we're going to set it to undefined. And if we look at our import, it had automatically added entity for us. It might not always do that, so just be mindful of that. And we're going to then set sphere A to this. So it'll be this dot sphere A equals this dot world dot find entity sphere A. And then we can print the name of that. So it'll be console.log, and we'll go this dot sphere A dot name dot get. And notice it gave us this question mark. I don't like doing it this way. It's kind of like a force just to get rid of the error, to let the code compile. So we want to make sure that sphere A has been set. So what we're going to do is we're going to go if this dot sphere A, and it's going to only run if sphere A has been defined. So now if we save that, go into the world, and we turn on the world simulation, we get sphere A. However, if we were to try to say use sphere, since there's two of them in the world, we will actually get an error. Now if I run it, we get this error, more than one entity was found with the name sphere. And since sphere A is undefined, it doesn't print the actual name of it. So we're going to keep this as sphere A. Now the next one I want to go over is find entities. Now this returns an entity array, so we do want to cache this. It's going to be called spheres, and it's a type entity array, and we're just going to set it to an empty array. And what we're going to do is this dot spheres equals this dot world dot find entities, and like the other one, it's going to take a name. So we're just going to say sphere. However, it also asks for options, and if we give it a curly bracket, we have two options. We have match options, and we have root entity. We're going to go over root entity first. Root entity is basically you're supplying an entity to check. So we're just going to say this dot sphere A, because that's the only entity I have a reference for right now. Sphere A had any children, we would only be searching its children. So it's like Unity's transform.find. By default, root entity is undefined, so it's undefined. in which that means it's going to search the entire hierarchy of the world. Now there is another option here, match operation. Entity match, name match operations, make sure it gets added up here. And then we can set that to contains, ends with, exact, regex, and starts with. So contains, say if we only gave it SPH, we're going to look for all entities that have an SPH in it. And if we say it ends with an RE, now we're going to get all entities that name ends with RE. We have exact, which if we say sphere, only entities with the name sphere will be selected, and this is the default value for this option. We have regex, which allows you to supply a regular expression as the search value, so then you can return names that start with something or end with a specific letter or contains a certain amount of characters, and so it's very powerful in what allows you to find. And then starts with is whatever it starts with. So if it starts with S, you're going to get all entities that start with S. So we're just going to leave it at exact, and we're going to then close that. So then we can then console.log this.spheres.length, and then that will just print how many entities are within that array, and turn on simulation. Our sphere A prints, and then it says we have 2 because we do have 2 entities in the world with sphere. Now, the last way we're going to do this is we're going to do this by finding entities by tag. Now, if we remember, if we go back into the desktop editor, sphere B has a tag of sphere. Now, get entities with tags returns an array, so we do need another array, and we're just going to call this one sphere B's, and it's going to be of type entity, and we're going to set it to empty, and then we will this dot sphere B's equals this dot world dot get entities with tag. Now it does require an array, and we could just supply an array of 1 tag of sphere. Now you could also give it more tags. You can have as many tags as you want, but for the sake of this demonstration, we're only going to use the 1, but it does also have options. We don't need to use the curly brackets. It's just going to be entity tag match operation, which is something you need to import to make sure it does get imported up here. So this gives us 2 options, has all exact and has any exact. So what that means is if we have, say, 5 tags, we're only going to return item or an entity that has those exact tags. So it has to have all 5 of them. Now if we say has any, which is the default value, we're going to return all entities that has any of those. So it could have just 1, it could have 3 of the 5, it could have all of the 5, but it has to have at least 1 of those tags. And what we're going to do is we're going to console.log, and we will just do the length of spheres B, turn our simulation back on, and we have sphere A. We get 2 for our spheres, and we get 1 from our spheres B array. Just a short recap of the code. I did add some comments. This.world.findEntity. This is only going to return an entity with the matching name. However, if there are multiple with the same name, it will return an error and not return anything. This.world.findEntities, it returns all entities where its name matches the name string and the match operation. It is worth to note if there are none, it will return an empty array. There are no errors. For this.world.getEntities with tags, it will return all entities where its tag or tags match the tag name string array and match the operation. Again, if it finds none, it will return an empty array with no errors. Another thing to note, that when you are finding an entity or entities, you are in fact checking either all the children of a root entity or every object in the world. Just make sure that you're doing this on start. You're not doing this multiple times during your core loop. Don't be doing this in an update loop because it is very costly, especially if you have a lot of entities in your world. Now, getting entities with tag is a lot easier on the system because we're only checking entities that have a tag. So if you have a lot of entities but only some with tags, it's a lot easier on the world. And that is all I have on how we can find or get entities at runtime. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the video, or if you have any suggestions for a future video, please let me know in the comments section below. Also, if you liked the video, if you learned something, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified of all my future videos. And yeah, thanks for watching and have a good one.